host, Shiloh Ekstrom, and you are tuning in to Grit and Grace. What is up? From addict, alcoholic to top producer, influencer, and finding people's voice, I have Réal on. We are going to be hitting it hard. And soap star, what is happening on this show today? Getting real with Réal. This is Shiloh, and we are hitting grit and grace. Oh my gosh, Réal. I'm so excited to have you on here. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I was like, wow, man. I was like, wow, who's on the show? That introduction. I was like, oh, I guess it's talking about
That's
me.
you.
No, yeah, it's nice. It's good. Thank you.
We also, I have a mullet rocking today, so definitely have a mullet rocking. And I was just in a post, I don't know if you saw it, but was talking about knee fat. Knee fat is a thing.
Knee fat?
Knee fat. Guys don't experience this very much. So I carry all my weight in like my lower half of my body. Like if I'm going to gain weight, it goes there and it stays there. So it's funny because I posted getting rid of my knee fat because I'm doing the 75 hard challenge, obviously with your beautiful wife. And I think we're on day 55. So we've got 20 days left. And it was funny because I'm wearing shorts, which I never wear. And even in high school, I was always insecure about that area on the side of my knees because I always have a little bit of fat. So knee fat is a thing, just in case you did not know.
I've been a fitness expert for 43 years, Shiloh. I've never heard of knee fat. Just like I had a client came over, I've been helping her out with this whole pandemic. And she goes, yeah, I want you to help me with, you see how my pants like eat my ass? And I was like, never really heard that one, but let's get to work on that one.
Let's work on it. So yeah, you are also in, the fitness industry. I mean, I'm looking at your bio just because I had to look at the bio to remember it all. It's incredible. I mean, obviously General Hospital, people probably recognize you from General Hospital, a Emmy Award winner. I'm just looking at.
You can speak Academy over me if you want. Because that is one of my dreams. You could speak it over me.
I'll speak it over you, Academy Award winner. So I think it's just, but I just was looking at this and I'm like, wait a minute. I knew a lot of this. I didn't know some of this though. I was like, this is incredible. And I don't care if I have to look at people's bios because I had a couple people on here and I'm like, wow. I mean, that's incredible. I love that you have fishing freak. I like to fish.
You do?
Yeah. I'm a fair weather fisherman. Because it's got to be warm. I've got to be able to be relaxed on a boat with the sun. I do not ice fish. I hate ice fishing, although I'm in Duluth, Minnesota. But I definitely love to fish. I actually caught a marlin.
You did?
Deep sea fishing. Yep. I reeled that sucker in. It was incredible.
How long did that take? And you know what? I got to tell, I know what you're talking about with the ice fishing. Okay. Because I'm a fishing freak. And when we lived on the East Coast, I had this guy all year long. Oh my God, dude, you can't wait till the ice fishing. Oh, it's so amazing. Oh, you're going to love the ice fishing. So of course I was out there like 3 minutes and I'm like, what is this? Is like, because it's like you go out there, you drill a hole. It's like you can't move your boat if there's no fish down there. It's like, and then you're stuck there. I'm like, no, dude, I never went again either. That was the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
It's so funny because obviously growing up, we did old school ice fishing. We were outside. I fell in the hole when I was little. I just like my leg, you know what I mean? It's not fun. I was freezing. Now they've got these ice houses. They're called like
the full production.
Yeah, I mean, you're living in luxury in there. You can watch TV and it's warm, but it's ice castle. That's what they're called, these ice castles. They're expensive, like they're the real deal. And we have friends that have them. I'm just not into ice fishing. I'm just not into it. I don't like the cold weather stuff, but oh my gosh, I absolutely love that you like to fish. Do you do any fly fishing?
You know what? It's funny, Shiloh, I have not done that yet. And it's on my bucket list. It's amazing, but yeah, I met a guy, a champion in the network marketing world, a digital marketer actually, and he has his business is in a cabin right on the river, and I gotta go. That's what he does every single day. Every single day he's fishing. Every single day.
Same. It's so cool. I've got to try it once with a friend. It was very challenging, but so cool. Like we floated down the river and her dad was like an expert and totally helped me out. And I didn't do well, but it was definitely one of the coolest experiences because we got to float down the river and look at all the beautiful homes and try to catch fish. But yeah, definitely fly fishing is cool. We did like this rifle rally thing. These auctions, you put money in, it's for good causes. Well, I bet on a fishing pole, and I had a couple drinks at the time, and I had too many drinks, and I double bet. And so I got this fly rod that was expensive, and I overpaid for it. But anyways, good story. Let's talk about that. You and I share a lot of common traits, denominators, things that we share. I want my audience and the audience to kind of listen to this story because it inspired me. Obviously, we both were kind of surprised, I think, when we found ourselves in the same room in Clubhouse, and we're like, wow, I totally get it. Mm-hmm. And so, I think of, you have so much success in your life, you do. And people always look at that and they see that, right? They don't see that other side and what makes you truly you. And I love that you have a podcast. I was so grateful to be on it. So we'll definitely share that info at the end and all the good stuff about you. But I want you to dive deep and talk to the listeners who is Réal, and what was, in your life, did you start out at a very young age knowing that there was something, or did you kind of stumble into the addiction part? Some people, it's their whole life. Like me, I was surrounded by addiction from the day I was born, and it was something that was in the back of my mind. I was always watching for it, but not everyone has that experience. Sometimes it just creeps up on us. So let's just talk about it. Talk about the beginning of Réal and kind of what life was like. Like, what were you like when you were little? What were you, athletic? I'm assuming so, but let's talk about you.
Wow. Whew. Oh man, let's see if we get through this one without, because what's crazy, Shiloh, is, and that's part of recovery, isn't it? It's like I was just about to say, and then in that question that you just asked me right now, which I want to share with you, you just unveiled a whole nother layer of the onion that I totally blocked out. And what I was going with was when I first got in the program in 2 years sober, Christmas Day, I remember, I thought I had an opiate problem, and I did. I was heavily addicted to opioids. But I didn't think I had a drinking problem. I was drinking like a big bottle of vodka every day, and I just thought that was because I hated how the opioids made me feel. But I always felt, it's that thing, I can stop whenever I want. And, so I would stop for a day and say, see, I'm in control. Right. But when I was first sitting in that program, I used to sit there and people, they share every 2 minutes to share their stories. And when I was first in there at first, and they were all talking about how they've been drinking since they were teenagers and how they this, and I was like, no, I didn't start drinking till I was an adult. I'm thinking in my head. And then one day, all of a sudden, I was like, holy shit, I actually started drinking when I was 18. And then just now, you took me back, which I totally blocked out. So you said, did you grow up around addiction? And if you asked me that an hour ago, I would say, no, I didn't, but I did actually, love him, he became an amazing man. But at the time, my dad was a drug dealer. My dad was, that's what he did. He was an African-American. He was, slinging dope, and he was stuff like that. My mom, I'm just unveiling this. I've never talked about this before because you just opened a whole door for me. I remember, but I didn't see it as a problem because I remember at 13, my dad coming to me and he said, son, you're probably at the age where you're going to start getting introduced to drugs. Mm-hmm. And he said, just come to me and I'll get it for you. That way, at least you'll be doing this stuff.
Wow.
And so first I did coke was with my dad. First time I did hash was with my dad. But, when I look back at now and I think as a father right now, I can't imagine saying that to my kids with what I know. I know he didn't mean bad, but man, wow, what a train wreck that started, But back then, when I think back, it was like I was the cool dude because if my friends needed some stuff, dude, I got the hookup. I got the best. Every Friday night, I just remembered this. Every Friday night, when we getting ready for the parties, you know, I'm talking 12, 13 years old. And when I look back now, when I, as a recovering addict and alcoholic, I'm just like, and it's just happening. It's unveiling right now as I'm speaking to you. I'm just like shaking my head. I can't even imagine. But every Friday night, it was, what do you guys need? I got the list. Mom, Dad, can we go hit the liquor store now? And it would be like we'd pull up with the car with my mom and unload 18 cases of beer, all the bottles of vodka, all the bottles of, I was the dude. I was the cool dude, and it's like, wow, I'm looking at that now and I'm like, I mean, that's where it all started, dude, and yeah, so I don't know if I say thank you for that memory or not, but yeah, it did start at a really young age and younger than I just thought until now. But and I know my dad, my dad was my stepdad, so he's probably just trying to be accepted. Maybe he thought it was the right thing to do, but dude, don't give an addict a gun, man. I mean, look at the path of destruction that started there. I mean, it certainly started there, didn't it?
It's insane. Thinking back, it's funny what we don't remember and what because we soften it. What I realized in my story, and this is interesting because we go through this as you share and share. My story kept changing in the last 8-9 months, and not because I wasn't telling the truth, because I didn't remember. Like I was like, so I used to protect my parents thinking if I told the truth, I'm going to ruin their reputation. It's like, no. And so I got to a point where I was protecting them so much that my story was full of holes and I was forgetting, no, there was a lot of things going on. It was because I love them so much. You don't want anyone to judge them. It's like, nah, we got to tell that story because we have to heal and release it. And we do have to remember it because there's pain inside those stories. We're protecting people, but protecting them is keeping us in pain. And so the blessing about having my mother as a mother is she's so honest about things. I mean, I could bring up, and it's like, why are you protecting something she doesn't want you to protect? She's good. And she used to buy us booze. Like, I knew that. Like, I mean, I didn't hide that story. I mean, my friends would be like, Shiloh's mom will buy us booze. I mean, we knew about that. Like, that was the stuff. But there was the little things where you're like, yeah, that happened, and the painful stuff, where you're protecting people. And you're protecting people on a level where you're destroying yourself to protect people. I do this. This is an ism. Okay, I do this still and I have to catch myself. I do it in all situations. I'm like, stop doing that because you're only hurting yourself and you're going to destroy yourself for what? Protecting the truth. Don't do that. Don't do that. Be careful. But also, I think it's really powerful for people to see what just happened and hear what just happened because there's a reason you came on the show and there's a reason that you had to share that because it's part of the healing. And it's so incredible that you just realized that and shared it, but now you can work on understanding and healing. Yeah, it's crazy. So obviously there was some trauma and there was some things happening in childhood, things you saw, you were around it. What was the next step? So you have all these incredible accomplishments. What was going on? I think this is important for people too. We look at successful people and sometimes when you look at celebrities, especially celebrities, and they have these big crashes or all of a sudden just everything comes out. I couldn't believe that happened to them, or wow, I can't believe it. Really? You can't? What was going on? So you're having success, and I know this, with success comes more addiction when you're an addict. Let's talk about that. What was going on there? So you jump in. Okay, so we get to Réal. How did you get into acting, all of that, and like bring us on that journey and what was going on in between the dirty stuff, the grit? What was happening?
Oh, that's your name, the grit.
Yeah.
I just caught that. Yes. It's a great question. It's why I call mine Getting Real with Réal. Same thing, but wow, this is like therapy for me. You're really opening some doors I haven't thought about. But so here's the deal. When you're being successful, the there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of pressure. So how do you deal with that pressure? You self-medicate. Oh, man, this is, whoo, what a day, man. I gotta get a drink, right? Or, gotta smoke a joint or whatever, and that's how, we deal with those things. Now you add an addictive personality to it, and then you add to the layer of me, who is, the best way to describe me, which is, and I ain't looking for no sympathy, because the only person that's responsible for my life is the person looking right back at me in the mirror. But certain things, like, for example, just to help bring it all together, of what it was like in Réal's world, because Réal was really alone. And what I mean is, when I turned 50, I'm 58, my wife came to me and she said, hey, because she was trying to throw a surprise party for me. And she said she finally had to give in because she was trying to figure out who my friends were. And she came to me and she said, can I get a list of your friends? Because, sorry, I want to have a surprise party for you. And I couldn't give her one name at 50. I couldn't give her one name of a person that I could call a friend. So when you live in a world like that, and you're all alone, and then, I'm challenged with bipolar manic too. So it's a crazy world inside that head. And the only person I can talk to is myself. The only way I can deal with things, the only way I can show up. I remember stuff like, oh man, I have so much to offer. I have so much to say, but I got to get an 8-ball of Coke in me, and 8 Long Island iced teas and 7 shots of tequila before I can be my real Réal. So I can, so that was the life that I lived. So basically, here was this guy showing up like, I'm on top of the world. I got it all together. But behind closed doors, I was dying, and I was crashing hard. Me and my wife were just talking about this just yesterday. We were having some real deep conversations, because my wife stood by me for, I've been married 20 years. And I'm sober 2 years. So, that whole, most of our marriage was dealing with a train wreck. And of course, as you know, I didn't know it at the time. I didn't see it. I thought they were all weird. They all had the problems, but, and I asked her, I said, why am I so grateful that you stuck with me? And when I was doing all that crazy stuff, and she looked at me and she goes, well, you weren't doing drugs and partying back then when we were together. And I'm like, yeah, I was. And, but, as you know, we lie, steal, cheat, right? And I try to tell her, I says, honey, she goes, and it was like, the way I look at it is like, when I became, this is how conniving we can be, right? But when I became, as you know, when I finally got sober and went to AA, and I came home, because my wife's a normie. She likes to have her wine and stuff. And when I came home and I finally got to the place where I said to my family, Dad's an alcoholic. Am I in a program? You know what they said, Shiloh? They were like, you're not an alcoholic. If anybody's an alcoholic, it's Mom. Because I never drank in front of them. As you know, I hid everything. And as she was like, so what was going on was hell. And, what happened is, how do people end up? And, it's like, I almost took my life, and had I taken my life, it would have been the classic, wow, that's crazy, dude. I thought he was like, dude, he's Mr. Motivation. He's Mr. Inspiration. He shows up. But I had it going on for everybody else but myself.
Mm-hmm. What's so interesting about this that many people can relate to, that they don't realize this is part of it, any addiction, is you will always feel alone. Okay. That is something that's happened since I was a very young child. I've always felt alone. I didn't have friends, and I did have friends, but I never felt like I had true friends, or I just never felt like I was a part of things. And even to this day, it's something I have to battle. Like, Yes, you do have friends. You are loved, but you have no self-worth because your alcohol or whatever it is, and we've talked about this too. It's not just a drug. It's not just alcohol. This people battle these things emotionally. People struggle with serious things, and they're like, well, I don't drink and I don't do drugs. That doesn't mean you're not battling these things.
Workout, sex,
Yeah.
pornography,
All of it. It's all of it. Like, we all have a thing. And so what happens is your self-worth is tied to the drug, the alcohol, whatever it is. And when you take it away, or when you take something that's numbing it away, all of a sudden you're feeling that yucky feeling again, and you are alone. Like, you're like, I just lost my best friend. Like, my best friend was alcohol. Why don't you have close friends? Because you chose to put that other thing in front of everything. And when you get to that point, you realize that when you take it away, you have to rebuild relationships. And I experienced this. I've always felt like I never had any. I have two great friends and very close friends, but I've always been like, I'm always alone. I'm going to die alone. Like, these weird thoughts. But that was with me as a child, before I ever drank, and it's what the sickness is. It's that part of us that gets us into our thing, and we start to numb it because we don't like that feeling. It's not a good feeling. No. And, for you to say that about your birthday party, it doesn't surprise me. Is it sad? Yes, I know that pain. I'm not surprised that was happening. I'm not surprised that you're sharing that, because so many people feel this way. And so now you take COVID. You take the craziest situation, and you have all these people running around that normally can go socialize in bars, normally can go be with people. They can hide in their situations. They can take a vacation. They can go to the gym, whatever their thing is. It got all ripped away. This happened to me too. I mean, there was a reason 2020 was my year. Okay. And now you're taking away all the outlets, everything that would help me or numb me. Okay. It was one or the other, either the helping or the numbing. There was like yoga and all the good stuff. And then there was numbing, drinking. And so you put this into a huge situation. You have mental illness is already a serious issue, and it jumps, it spikes. You've got people committing suicide. You have liquor stores that never slowed down. I can tell you that our local liquor store, every day I drove by it, lines.
Wow.
I understand it because people had nothing else, and they're sitting in their house. And now you have, mothers or wives, they're messaging me. I still get these messages. I really had a hard time with 2020. And now, do I think they're all alcoholics? Absolutely not. What happened is it was an easy outlet, because it's easy. And it was easy to numb some of the things. I mean, look at the kids are home. It's just every situation. And the political environment was nuts. I mean, not only did we have this, we had the craziest political couple years we've ever seen. And it was wild. And so, yes, we see all the things start to jump, and mental illness, which is all of this is linked to mental illness and things like that. And so 2020 was my year. 2 years ago, what happened to Réal to make Réal say, holy shit, it's time?
Yeah. It was a few things. It was, I was crashing hard. And, I remember, like I said, I was drinking real heavy. I was doing a lot of opioids. And I'd remember, I was like the closet, I'd be like, me and my wife like to drink vodka. And I would we get this big bottle of vodka, right? And I was like, oh, I got it, baby. I'll mix the drink, right? So I'm making her drink. And then I'm like,
yeah.
And I come out and she's like, where's the vodka? I'm like, baby, you drank it. Don't you remember? I gave you that drink. Right? So, and I remember my real dad, who I never met, died of alcohol poisoning. He was a drug addict. And so, me being a fitness expert, it first started, I'd be sitting there doing this in the kitchen, going and saying, Réal, this isn't good. And then I go, yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Yeah. Okay. Dang it. And then there were a couple key things that happened for me, Charlotte. One, me and my wife were doing a keto challenge. Okay. And if you know anything about keto, they talk about this whole net carb thing. And I remember there was this one trainer on there, right? And I'm taking full responsibility, but it's all Réal needed to hear, right? There's this one trainer on there, and one day they're talking about that vodka and certain things, they have no net carbs, and you can drink it, it's not going to mess up your net carbs and everything. And I remember I reached out to that trainer and I said, listen, can I ask you something off the record? I said, so are you telling me that I can drink this whole bottle of vodka here and it's not going to mess up my net carbs? Yep. That's all I needed to hear. And I was off, dude. That gave me the free. So that started that whole thing, right? So now, and I had to I'm doing trainings like you do. And I had to I got to pop my pills. I got to get this because I got to get to my thing, man, because this is how I perform the best. Oh my God, when I look at those trainings right now, I'm like, could you guys not see how messed up I was? Right. But I thought I was in my game. You know what I'm saying? And then finally, I got to the point where I was like, I gotta stop, dude. I can't do this anymore. And what happened is I stopped. I said, I'm gonna stop because the drinking wasn't the problem. I did not have a drinking problem. I had an opioid problem in my head. And so I said, I gotta stop this opioid thing. I gotta stop. And I woke up one day and I said, I'm gonna stop cold turkey. And I was usher at the church, the head usher. On day 4, I'm losing my shit. I got cold, beating sweat coming down. My skin is crawling. I'm going through major withdrawals. I'm standing at the door. I'm greeting all these people. It's the 3rd service, Shiloh. And now I'm pissed because I think I wanted somebody to notice me, to say something. And people are going, hey, nobody noticed, which is a whole nother lesson of how people are. They're not even paying attention to me. And then finally, one of my friends came by and he goes, dude, are you okay, dude? And I just broke down. I said, no, dude. And I shared with them, and I told him what was going on. And he looks at me and he says, do you think you got a drinking problem? No, dude, I don't got a drinking problem. I got an opioid problem. I mean, I like to drink, but I don't have a drinking problem. He was like, oh, okay, because he's in the program. And he says, well, tomorrow I'm celebrating 5 years of sobriety. It's my birthday. I'm going to get a cake. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll come down and support you. So even in going in there, I walked into that AA meeting to celebrate my friend's birthday of sobriety and to help him. And then I never came out. And once I was in there and I just saw the similarities, I'd walked into AA 17 years earlier and I was like, dude, what a bunch of weirdos, what a bunch of losers, dude. I'm better than them, so I wasn't ready. And then that was the process. And what happened, it was a challenge because what I actually really, really went down, and this is interesting for people to listen because I'm challenged with bipolar manic too. So what happened about 6 months into sobriety, all of a sudden I start to spiral into depression. And in my mind, I had got to a place with my depression where I had what I called my things, my tools, my tricks that I could pull myself out of it. And no matter what I'm doing, nothing's working. I'm in some dark. I was in places I've never been before. Like I starting to have those really bad thoughts. Like I literally, this was it. I'm out. I'm done. I'm taking my life on this one. And on the way to AA meeting, I realized I had no self-medication anymore. I wasn't self-medicating with anything. So I was having to face this demon head on for real for the first time in my life. And I wasn't going back at that point to the drinking. And so then I'm sitting down here at Vaughn's with my wife in a car because I didn't want to go on medication. I watched my mom die from being on medication. To me, that was like me failing. I didn't want a life sentence of failing. And I'm sitting in the car with my wife the night before I'm supposed to go to the doctor to get on medication. And I'm about to chicken out. I go, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I can do it myself. I'm not doing it. I'm not going. And she's looking at me. She said 2 things to me. She said to me, sorry, she said, Réal, do you think it's easy for me and the kids. Do you think it's fun? And I looked at her and like, and she was like, you really think this hasn't been tough for us? Because I thought I didn't know. I thought, I hit it well. And that was a huge aha moment for me. And then she said to me, she said, Réal, what if, it could work? And, I just said, I decided to fight one more time for my family. And I went to the doctor the next day and, I got on medication. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, But yeah, that's kind of it. And as you know, every day is a day. And I'm grateful. I live in a world of gratitude, but that's kind of it in the short and short of what happened.
What's interesting is, so when people take on new challenges, and at first sobriety is so awesome because
Yes.
you're like, I'm free and I feel so good. I remember the first 4 months when I got past the initial, when I decided to quit drinking, I got past the initial like sadness and wow, what happened and all that stuff. And then I was just like, oh my God, I haven't been this happy my whole life. What is this? And then, about 5-6 months into it, I got hit with that devil, okay, so here's what it is. And now I'm sober. It's hard, you have to, and some people have to, take medication. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people have to really be tapped into their community, tapped into their support groups, whatever they do, whatever community if they went to treatment center, if they're in AA, whatever they use, they also have to have a strong family unit. They have to be connected with their higher power or God, whatever your thing is. Because if you don't have anything, you will slip. And that right there, and there's been some rough days. Like I have days where I'm like, I know this is going to pass, but holy shit. It's those holy shit moments where you're like, wow, like I'm aware right now that it's not fun. This effing sucks. I don't like how I feel. And you got to keep it together. And so I think it's important to let people know, hey, and that's why we say grit and grace, give yourself grace. Know that there are people out there to help you, that there are support, there's communities, there's everywhere you look, you can find it. You need to seek it. And it's okay to go to the doctor. It's okay. Tell somebody and find people. If it's in a church, if it's, if your family structure, whatever it is, there is help for you. And I think that's what's important about today too, because, you have the right people in your corner. I have the right people in my corner. But it is scary and it sucks. And there are people who don't have alcoholism. They don't have these things and they're struggling right now because the world is really unsure. We are in a very interesting time. So let's shift this a little bit because your story is incredible. And I'm so grateful you shared today. What is next for Réal? 2 years sober. You have so many projects. Your podcast is incredible. But what are you said, speak it into, did I say Academy Award? Speak it into existence. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about some really fun things right now.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Let's have some fun. Yeah.
Let's talk about something fun. I get it. I mean, but no, this show is all about that story. That's what we want people to do.
And it is fun, right? We're happy. We're crying, but we're happy.
We are. Like, it is amazing to be a part of, like, I stay busy every day. There's so much going on for me. What's next for you? Let's talk about that, because for the listeners, they're like, I love this guy. I got to start following. Number one, we're going to share your info, but at the end, you definitely can share how you can find Réal. And then, like, what are your projects? What are your passion projects? And what are your goals for the next, I don't know, 90 days, but more like next 5 years?
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. I've already written my first book, which was interesting and therapeutic and was part of the process. And like the best way I can describe it, it's obviously about my life, and I designed it to help people to be able to know that they can get through challenges and be successful. But at the end of the book, the best way I can describe it, because once again, there are a lot of things that I just didn't remember that came out of that book. And I was like, you know what the cover of this book needs to be? It needs to be freaking Jekyll and Hyde. Half of my face smiling, and because it's like, dude, It was like
Right.
show Jekyll and Hyde, this book. Like, wow. Like, I think my wife will read that book and go like, no, that's not the guy I've been. Yeah, it is. So there's that coming out. We just submitted last Sunday, supporting actor for the Emmys. So we'll see where that goes. GH, of course, right now back after 17 years, which is, that's a crazy story. I've got to tell you the quick abridged story of that one, Shiloh, because
Yeah,
you'll dig
I
that.
want to hear it.
So 17 years, I'm off the show. Now, once again, in my mind, I quit. I'm
Sure.
better than all of them, all of that stuff, right? The reality was I was fired. I was blacklisted, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I wasn't, let's just keep it real. I was told that, probably would never work for that network again, certainly not that show. And there were certain people there that were make sure that would never happen, and rightfully so. They had a right, because of the way I dealt with stuff. Fast forward to I get in the program, and people who know me have to know my number's 3. Everything I do is in threes, 9, 12, but threes for sure. So step 3 in the program is, as you know, Shala, we turn it over to God. God's got it, basically. End of conversation. I'm looking at that step every night, day when I'm in the program going, because everybody's talking about how hard that step is. And I'm like, what the heck, dude? You just got to say, God's got it. What's wrong with you people? That's easy. I got that one. So when I get to step 3, I'm like, I got this one. And I'm sitting there with my sponsor, and, he asks you the questions, and I'm, oh, yeah, dude, I've been a believer. So blah, blah, blah. And he goes, yeah, but does you really? So I basically walked away from that meeting kind of pissed off because I said 4 times, yeah. And I'm like, dude, did you not understand? Was I speaking Japanese? I got it. God's got it. But then he planted the seed, and I realized, you know what? No, I didn't really believe that God got it. It was about Réal. Réal's got it. Yeah, I was going to church. Yeah, I was praying, but I really wasn't trusting, because for 17 years, there wasn't a day that went by that I was trying to control the situation by apologizing. How was I going to get back on that show? How was I? Because I was on top of the world, and my family was on top of the world. We were living the A life, red carpet, 6,000 square foot house, all of that. And God ripped it away like wham. I lost it all. And my family been paying the price for 17 years, so there wasn't a day that I wasn't. So anyways, when I finally get to the point, I say, you know what? Okay, I'm really going to turn this over to God, like for real. Like for real, I'm going to do this. And I said these exact words, Shiloh. I'll never forget. I said among the many things, but I said these specific words. I said, God, if they don't want me to be back on that show, if I'm not supposed to be back on that show, I'm good with it. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I'm not going to think about it anymore. But if you want me to be back on that show, they can't stop you. 3 days later, I'm in my kitchen. My phone buzzes. I look down. It's the head casting director of ABC.
Wow.
I dropped to my knees. I just was bawling because I knew, dude, he wasn't calling to say, hey, how you doing?
Right.
And he called like nothing happened. Hey, dude, we wrote you back in the show. We want to know if you'd like to come back to the show. And, so there's that. So I'm excited to be back on that. And it was funny. They brought me back and they killed me. And the fan, and we didn't know. We were like, yes, we're finally back on top. Thank you, Jesus. Everything's going to be great. Your life can just change like that in the film industry. And then I come down the stairs, and the casting director goes, hey, can we talk to you for a second? I'm like, sure. I thought he was going to tell me. He's like, listen, you're going to be getting the script next week, and I just didn't want you to be surprised, but you're going to get killed. I'm like, I'm trying to be the better person about it,
Sure.
but I was devastated, right? But it's really a Cinderella story because all the fans, they thought, I don't like to call them fans, they're champions. I call them GH champions.
Sure.
They all thought it was part of the plan. And they got, and I'm like, guys, no, you don't understand. I was dead. They killed me. But the champions, the GH champions, actually brought me back. They made such noise. So I'm grateful to the producers and stuff. Yeah. So there's that, and then I'm a big mental wellness advocate. You know, the network marketing company I'm with, you know, we're about bringing that mental wellness revolution globally. So I'm very, very passionate about that. And that's where, you know, as of today, that's where I see me for the rest of my life. My big legacy of, you know, what difference am I going to leave is really definitely around mental wellness, bullying, um, you know, um, that kind of stuff. That's what I'm very depression, you know, stuff like that, suicide. So that's kind of what's going on with me. My podcast, of course, I love, and that's about it. You know, kind of what I got going on right
That's a
now.
lot.
Yeah. Oh,
That's a
and you
lot.
know, yeah, but you know what the most important thing is? Seriously, and I know you'll get this. The most important thing is the promises are coming true for me, Shiloh. I'm getting my family back. My kids hug me. They say they love me. Me and my wife, we laugh. You know, for 17 years of my 20-year marriage, this is honest to God shit. I know you'll get this. There was no laughter in the Andrews house. There was no joking. There was no hugging. I saw it between mom and the kids. I didn't get none of that. I didn't,
Mhm.
you know, there was none of that. There's a lot of that now. There's joking, there's laughing, there's doing, hey, let's go away for the weekend next week. To me, that's what I'm most excited about right now is I'm getting another chance to honor this amazing woman that I've been blessed with that stuck by me. Oh my God, thank you, Jesus. I don't know what I did to deserve that. I'm getting a second chance to rebuild with my kids that I thought I would never have that relationship. So that's the biggest thing. You know, people say to me, what's your biggest victory today that happened on my birthday? January 31st, in 2021, my middle son, who I had no relationship at all. It was abusive physically, emotionally, verbally on both ends. I hope you die. You're going to die alone. He never came out to see me. He never gave me presents, never hugged me, nothing. And on my birthday this year, I get up at 3:30 in the morning and he goes, I hear this voice like a little kid. Oh, Dad.
Mhm.
Like, who is that? And I come out, he comes running out, gives me a big hug, won't let go, and hands me this handwritten card.
Mm.
And it's telling me that even though we know we have troubles and stuff, but I know how hard you work. I know you've always been, and I'm just like, that's my biggest victory to date.
Mhm. I think that's important. I've rebuilt a relationship with my daughter too that was gone for years. And it's incredible what sobriety brings and what just the healing that has happened, not only, you know, just in this year, but for you over all the years, like looking back and seeing how that has evolved and how you evolved. But seriously, you are a true champion. You
Thank
champion
you.
so many people. You're giving voices back to those who may have lost their voice. I absolutely love that. I love that mission. I love the mental wellness mission. I think it's so great. You and your wife are just incredible people in the wellness
Thank you.
space. Yes, and that you're just amazing people in general. And so keep doing what you're doing. We need Réals in the world. We need more of you, and we can't wait to watch more of you on General Hospital. And
Yeah, we
I
got some good
actually
stuff coming.
remember, this is hilarious. I never watched soaps very much, but my mom did. So I always would catch up after like once a year. I would pop it on and be like, all right, I'll watch it. I do remember you. And that's what was so funny. I'm like, how do I know this dude? And when you said that, I'm like, oh, that's Ed. I know him because of General Hospital. It's so funny. And that it's just crazy the impact you leave even 17 years ago. People
Mm.
still remember you, and that's, and there is, the story is not over with General Hospital. I mean, it goes way beyond that, and you're going to do more things. Your book's coming out, and so you can find Réal. We're going to give you all his deets, but right now, real quick, why don't you share all the platforms that they can find you on, how to find you, but we will make sure that we throw it into our information on the podcast as well, because we want people to find you after this, because I know they're going to be wanting your book, they're going to want to be connecting with you, and all the good stuff, and getting on your podcast. So let's do that right now. Tell them
Oh,
where they can find you and all the info.
Yes, thank you so much. The basic easy, I keep it easy. My main mothership, www.realandrews.com. I got all my links. You can click a button up there in the top right corner. Like Shiloh said, listen, my podcast, my pastor said once, Jesus doesn't need more preachers. He needs more people to step up, show up, take action, and share their stories. So if you got a heart and you're breathing, you got a story that I'd love to help get out to the world. So you can go ahead, book a podcast with me, have me on your podcast. I'd love that. All my social media is at Réal Andrews. I'm on Clubhouse with Shiloh. Instagram's probably my biggest jam to get me there. And, please subscribe to my podcast, my YouTube channel. And, that's it. I'm just grateful to have this opportunity.
Well, we're grateful to have you. And this has been another amazing episode of Grit and Grace. I am Shiloh Ekstrom, and we are out. This is your host, Shiloh Ekstrom, and you are tuning in to Grit and Grace.
Now, glutathione is a big word, but it's the body's own master antioxidant. So it's a scavenger for free radicals, for bacteria, and what's relevant now, viruses. This is new to the marketplace. There's no other product on the market that has the ingredient NACET.
And basically NACET increases the production of that glutathione that is in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system and keep it strong. Elevated sense of well-being, supports muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, powerful liver support, energy, helps blood sugar regulation, superior bioavailability of key ingredients.
One of your best defenses against COVID is a strong immune system. Taking GSH Plus as a daily supplement does all that. And now we have the product out on the marketplace.